Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu, broadcasting live every Monday at 12 noon Pacific Time.
Hi there, this is May, and in light of Valentine's Day, I'm doing a show on how to deepen your connection with your partner. I had the pleasure of receiving a session with this beautiful woman that I've never met. I've only met on Facebook. Her name is Dee Dussault. She just moved to the Bay Area from Toronto, and she does tantric yoga, naked yoga, all the deep work to bring a couple together. So she wanted to offer us a gift to experience and to share back with the audience. And the reason why I think the show is so important is because I get comments from couples all the time, literally all the time, and it's one or the other, not both. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is either the husband would say this or the wife would say this, but never husband and wife wanting this at the same time. So the husband would be wanting for his wife to have more sex with him, to connect more, and to have more fun, and to do all this spiritual growth and experience. And yet the wife or the husband, would be really resistant or would feel like, oh my God, you're coming after me for sex again, and I have no choices around this, and you're making me feel bad, and it's as if like I'm not good enough for you, and all this pressure, and then the husband feels completely misunderstood because he is a man, he does have a cock, and when he come and invite his wife to have sex, he wants to connect, but it sounds like he's the perpetrator. It sounds like he is pursuing and wanting and imposing himself onto her, and she doesn't feel like she has much choices around that. And so the question that the husband usually asks me is, what else can I do to explain to my wife that I am not trying to impose this on her, that I am actually inviting her to a world that's really beautiful. And so this conversation today, I wanted to share that, is that there are things that you can do with your wife that could make it much more accessible for them to come out and play with you, for them to come out and explore and not feel so threatened. Because usually this is tied in with a lot of old stuff around sex, a lot of guilt, shame, everything that's bundled in there, and the partner just can't seem to explain themselves. And so it pits the husband and wife against each other. So how can we do things that would have you connect and be more at peace with each other, be more opening rather than pushing? And so I've been just thinking and collecting data points and experiences so that I can bring it to you, so that you could try it out with your wife or your husband. Like one thing. This is actually a very very important and yet a very simple thing that you can do is you can give your wife or your husband a foot bath without asking for sex afterward, without any pressure of going beyond a foot bath. You can give a foot bath and a nice massage to the feet, or you can give a body massage and end it right there. Don't try to get sex out of it, even if she wants it or he wants it. And just let them know that, I really want to honor our boundaries so that you can really trust me when I say, I don't want to have sex, I just want to connect with you, I just want to make you feel good. So that's one very small thing that you can do. Another thing you can do is you can do what I just did with my partner. So we actually went to see Dee. She is a tantric teacher, and she showed us exercise and activities to deepen our connection with each other. So Dee, come on in, honey. Say hi.
Hey. Hi, May.
Hi. Tell them a little bit about yourself, like give them some stats so that they can connect with you, like age, status, how long you've been doing this, just pertinent stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, I'm 33. Today's my birthday, so yeah,
Happy
33
birthday.
today. Thanks. Yeah, and I'm newly in a relationship, 3 months into a really satisfying, relationship where we do a lot of these tantric practices. And I've been teaching variations of tantra, sacred sexuality, and just different ways to connect with partners or to connect to yourself for about 5 years.
Awesome. And so yesterday, my partner and I, he's such a sports now, I think he's been hit with these requests so often now that he's trained to receive them. Came to San Francisco to experience about were we there like an hour and a half, right?
Yep.
It's just time fly by so fast when you're so connected. It was just amazing. Anyway, so as we were walking toward Dee's door, my partner goes, "Oh yeah, I'm scared." And I'm like, "What, honey?" And he's like, "Well, just the unknown." I'm like, "Oh, got it. Yeah, it's kind of scary. But, I think compared to all the time that I've ever taken you to stuff, this is like the mildest." And he's like, "Okay." And then I said, "Yeah, and I'm gonna be naked." And he's like, "Okay, that's not helping me." So you just never know what will trigger your partner, and we just have to listen to them and gently go in. So Dee, you had such a great space there, and your presence was so awesome, and it really just helped me get grounded or drop, my worldly worries and just be in that space really quickly. So just wanted you to know that. I don't think I told you that yesterday.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thank you. And it's totally natural for people to come, with a variety of emotional responses and expectation. Nervousness is a normal response if we're doing something new for the first time or something that's sort of pushing our edges or challenging us or, anything that's sort of outside of the box is going to feel a little bit foreign or a little bit scary, for a lot of people. And we can just accept that instead of feeling like we're not supposed to feel nervous or we're not allowed. The nervousness is part of it. It's not like it's taking away from the experience. It's part of the experience, and you just incorporate that and accept that as part of the moment.
Yeah, and for me, part of the nervousness and the resistance too is just even like the word tantra or tantric. I just hear it so much, and I have such for some reason that word triggers me. It makes me feel inadequate. It makes me feel like, oh, I'm not doing it right, And then the few times that I came close to people who are tantric people, they all look kind of woo-woo and flowy clothing and tall and skinny, and I'm not that, and they breathe a lot, and, their eyes are kind of glowy, and they're usually vegetarians and all these things.
Right.
So separate from them. And so I just so appreciated not feeling that way. I just kind of came in, and we then talked, and you're like, "Oh, you guys want to sit down on the floor?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then you want to breathe. Let's just get grounded and breathe. And so it was really fun to see how practical your sessions are. It wasn't so spiritual that I felt inadequate.
Great. That's really, I think it's really important for these are really esoteric, ancient rituals and practices, originally Tantra, and we're trying to bring that, that idea that we can use our lovemaking to learn more about ourselves and to connect more deeply with our partner, and those motivations are, for me, they're spiritual motivations. Like if you're feeling more love for yourself and for your partner, then that's spiritual enough, and we don't have to necessarily get into Kundalini or the chakras. And, you don't have to be a vegan or wear all white, or you don't have to do anything that you don't want to in Tantra. It's all just an invitation to meet you where you are. So whatever aspect of the practice appeals to you, that's where we do it, the practice.
Exactly, and it was so cute because when we got out of the car, my partner was saying, I brought yoga clothes, and I looked at him, and I'm in jeans and tight shirts and a belt and everything, and I'm like, and boots, and I'm like, I didn't bring any clothes. I didn't think about that. I'm just showing up and seeing what happened, and it was just all perfect, So that was really cool too. So anyway, let me just quickly describe what happened. So basically, you walk us through like a grounding exercise, like you did a little visualizations, and then you have us breathe and connect with ourselves, and then there was a bunch of activity that you brought us through that just kind of deepen and deepen and deepen for each other.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell us a little bit about, what was your intention and what did I say I was going to work on, and so that's how you created that for us?
Right, yeah. I always ask if it's a couple that's coming, I ask, how long they've been together and what their previous experience with anything in this general field is. So if it's any experience with meditation or yoga, not even tantra or sacred sexuality practice, and a lot of the couples who come have no experience, and that's just perfect too. I really like helping beginners and people with less experience enter into these maybe different ways to relate to themselves and to relate to their partner and feel the energies and the emotions in new ways. So, I asked you, how long you guys have been together and just a little bit about your relationship. And, the more people can share with me before the session, the more I can create a customized session that would, serve their needs and desires the best. So I knew that you have a radio show about, sexuality and relationships, so I know that you're open-minded and you sounded like a free, easygoing, sexually adventurous kind of woman. And so I thought, I didn't really have an agenda. I just thought when you arrive, we'll see what kind. I have a list of potential exercises or tools that we may use, but I wanted to see and sort of feel you and your partner, your energy and sort of where you were at and what kinds of things would be interesting to you. So it's really organic how these sessions unfold. And, we started with meditation because, when people come into a new, you're coming into my home and it's just, the newness of the location, and we just are meeting for the first time and your partner is just meeting me for the first time. So there's a lot of different thoughts and fears and feelings and future-based expectations and wonder. So I always start the sessions with a meditation to help people drop into the moment, like what's actually going on in your body, what's actually going on, in your mind too, like what kinds of feelings and thoughts are you having, and just really encouraging you to notice what is, without expecting that it needs to change or be different, just really accepting whatever is. It's like when we do yoga and the teacher encourages you to be with whatever comes up.
So, let me just pause you here for a second, and I'm just having flashbacks. Of the me about, I don't know, 7 years ago, where I heard about these things and I know that people are doing these things. I was mildly curious, a lot resistant, and I can see how challenging it would have been then for me. Like I could see even saying yes to something like that, and wanting to do something like that, or being forced to if my partner, brought that to me. I could just see being really judgmental and heady about it, and I would be like everything that happened, how you opened the door, what you wore, I would be like rating it against some crazy scale that I had in my head. Is this good? Is it bad? Is it good? Is it authentic? Is this woman okay? Is she going to make us do something that we don't like? I would be very suspicious.
What was the word you used? Very
suspicious.
Efficient.
No, not efficient. Suspicious. Like I'd be like questioning. Like, am I doing it right? Is she doing it right? Are we going to get anything out of this? Or So I just wanted to acknowledge that beginner's mind, that mental chatter that we all could have that gets in the way, or that is the experience that we could be having.
Yeah, for sure. It's really sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do you encounter that often?
I do, yeah, for sure. People are, especially you have women, wives and girlfriends who want to bring their partner to a workshop with me, to deepen intimacy and the relationship. And you can sort of see in the guy's eyes, if it's a heterosexual partnership, you can see in the husbands and in the boyfriends, there's this, like you said, a bit of a suspicion, like, am I going to be made to do something that I don't want to do? Am I going to, have to get naked or reveal something emotional that's going to be hard or triggering, or is it going to be too spiritual and new agey? And it's really common for people to have that initial kind of doubt or fear. And one of the most common feedbacks that I get is that I have this sort of approachable quality that helps people to feel really at ease and really comfortable. That I'm not shoving something down their throat or making people, I'll invite people to feel a little bit uncomfortable because that's where you're growing, when it's a little bit out of your comfort zone, it means that you're, you're trying something new. But, we don't want to cause more trauma, more contraction around sexuality when it's already such a contracted part of ourselves for many of us.
And isn't that so amazing how contracted we are with our sexuality? I mean, really, looking at what we went through, all we did was sit on a pillow, breathe, close our eyes, breathe, listen to your beautiful voice, and then go, feel some stuff, and then turn around, look at each other, breathe some more, and feel the love between each other, breathe some more, and then lay down on the ground and breathe some more, and, just like gently touch ourselves however we want to. We didn't have to touch our genitals or anything. We just have to just be in connection with our body, breathe some more, and then look at each other, and then, breathe some more. So it's kind of like that's pretty much the whole session was, and then at the end, because we were feeling so good and so right, I just sat on him, clothes on, so we weren't having sex in front of Dee either, but just feeling the sexual energy aroused and allowing that to come. That's it. But, oh, my goodness, I can just imagine the resistance to that. I had resistance to that and fear, and it took me 7 years to finally get here to this place where I felt comfortable enough to do it with you.
Yeah. So breathing is a big part of it. Most of the sessions involve learning how to become aware of our breath and then learning how to enhance it or accelerate it, make it faster to help us to become more aroused and more in touch with our sexual energy, or learning how to slow it down to be more present and relaxed. And that's a big part of Tantra, is being able to hold arousal and desire and sexual energy, but at the same time to be really relaxed with it, that you don't have to rush to the future, you don't have to rush to an orgasm or to a goal. You can contain this huge arousal, and the longer that you build it up and the more you can build it up, of course, the more satisfying the release will be if you decide to release it. And a lot of people like to really just build it up with the breath and with fantasy or with, touching themselves, like you said. And then we didn't have a genital release, an orgasmic release, but a lot of the clients who come and build it up, they find that when they're walking through the day afterwards, after they leave, they feel really powerful, really in touch with their energy, because really we're calling it sexual arousal, but it's really just energy. So you feel, I don't know, did you guys feel energized when you left yesterday and went to the park?
I was just going to say, I'm going to take a quick commercial, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you what happened after the session, because there was some very fascinating things that happened.
Is your marriage or relationship in crisis? Where one partner wants to expand into their sex and bring scary changes to the relationship, while the other partner is dug in, protective, and saying, no way in hell is this going to happen. May knows this place well, and she can help both sides. She is truly amazing. Learn more about her specialty, crisis coaching for couples and individuals, at sexliesandconsciousness.com.
Okay. We are back, and this is our official Valentine's show for 2013. I'm here with Dee Dussault. She is a tantric teacher and yoga teacher. What else do you do, Dee?
I also teach all different kinds of yoga classes. So there's, Tantra is a kind of yoga, and there's like sexual awakening yoga. But I also do just hatha yoga, which can be with clothes on, like a regular hatha yoga class. But it could also be a clothing-free or nude class for people who want to explore deepening the relationship with their body and healing from some body image issues. So there's clothing-free yoga as well. And then there's cannabis-enhanced yoga classes for people who want to use cannabis as a medicinal or spiritual medicine to enhance their yoga experience. So there's a variety of different ways that we get into this sort of more loving. It's all about loving ourselves more through these different modalities.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've yet to experience the cannabis part, but anyway, I'm not good with cannabis. It kind of gets me a little weird. So, So anyway, so what happened afterwards for us? So first of all, we went to dinner at this lovely restaurant in San Francisco called Arabian Nights. Totally recommending that too, by the way, if you guys are in the Mission District. And we were having dinner, and the owner kept coming out and kept appreciating us as a couple. And they kept saying how beautiful I was and how beautiful my partner was and how much fun we were having. And at the end of the dinner, he came out and just hugged me, and like we were like best friend or something, and he's just like, God, you're just like glowing, and you're so lucky to be with her. And he, and we were just like, he's like, I was watching you guys the whole evening, and you were laughing and connecting with each other the whole time. I was just so amazed at your relationship.
That's amazing.
I mean, we have a pretty good relationship, but we've never had that kind of reflection back before from from strangers and in public situation like that. So that was really fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a really good testimonial.
Yeah, right. And it's so amazing when we are connected to ourselves, because really that's what you got us to do, is we really slow down and connect it with ourselves and then with each other and just feel the love, and it was flowing. And that's it. That wasn't anything bigger than that. And it just made everything so much easier. And this is not like we weren't going through some big stuff in that day. I mean, he was dealing stuff with his ex-wife and all this stuff, so it was just really a challenging day, and yet we were able to really draw into this space just in a matter of an hour, to really connect. Anyway, so then we got home, and I had to do some work preparing for today. So I was busy in my masculine self, working and all that stuff, and he was kind of hoping that to take it to sex between us, but it never happened, and he fell asleep, and then I just turned off the light and I went to sleep, which was fine. But in the middle of the night, like around 2:30, he reached over and just barely touched the area close to my crotch. And Dee, it was so interesting. I had this tiny moment of deciding, do I let the energy go or do I suppress this thing? And I'm like, I'm going to go with it and see what happens. And it was like a bomb that went off in my vagina. It was just like boom, and all this energy just from that center, it just exploded into my body, and I was just orgasmic the whole time. And he was just barely had his hand on my crotch, and I was going to town all of that. It was so much fun. And of course that made him really aroused, and then so he was like, I barely touched you, and you were so wet, and it was just exploding everywhere, and so I just had to fuck you, and it was so good, and it was just wonderful.
Yeah.
And then we just went back to sleep. I guess, one of my complaints during the session was, about Tantra and all that was, I don't understand this Kundalini stuff and all this energy stuff, and then I never feel it. I have to say, I think I felt it last night.
Oh, wow. What did it feel like?
It felt like how I described it. It felt it felt energetic. It felt explosive. It was like a rippling energy through my body. It started from that center down there, and because we also did some work with sound while we were in session together, so I just like allowed the sound to come out and just rode it and just rode it and rode it with my body, with the touch, with my voice, with my mind. It was all just working together in like that instant moment, and it just kept riding, and it was so good. It was just fun. I'm like, is that the world that you live in? Wow.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, the more of the different...
people go to tantric session.
What's that?
I said, is this why people go to Tantra learning lessons and classes so that they can feel that?
Yeah, right. Like it affects your sexuality and what's actually happening in the bedroom, but it also affects your relationship outside the bedroom, and then it starts to affect your relationship to other people that you're not even necessarily sexual or intimate with. Like maybe you're feeling in a better mood when you go to the office tomorrow, or you're just walking down the street feeling really full and really in your femininity or in your masculinity, feeling really, just really embodied and alive. And so in a way, you could think of it like you're making the world a better place by slowing down and really, getting deep into this lovemaking.
Yeah, well, what you said about being full is really important. It's like I think we walk around on this planet really empty and starving and hungry and suppressed. And we don't know how to come from full. We don't know how to cultivate that. We don't know how to do it for ourselves, and we don't know how to do it for each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's really a big pain on this planet, and whatever it takes. I know that coming from full, like filling yourself up, can come from many places. Today we just happened to talk about Tantra and yoga and breathing, and working with you. But that's one avenue. I know there are many other avenues, but I think it's really important that we pay attention to cultivate ourselves so that we can come from full rather than from empty.
Definitely. And then there's no scarcity, there's no grasping, and there's no fear of the future. And we're not even really motivated by desires as much when we're full. It's all just sort of accepting what's in the moment.
Yeah, right. And I was telling my partner so our routine is I spend 2 weeks with my daughter as a mom in my own place, and then 2 weeks with him. So when my daughter goes to her dad, I go to my partner, and then we live together for that 2 weeks. And usually it takes me a couple of days to surrender, to drop into softness when I shift from being mom into being, lovers, partners, wife, kind of role that we so naturally have with each other. And it's because, when I'm a mom and out here on my own paying bills and taking care of business and juggling mommyhood and my business and all that stuff, I'm very masculine and very strong. And so when I go to my partner's house, it takes a while. It takes some conscious effort and some clear negotiating to help me surrender and fold into the softness of our relationship.
Definitely, It's like the more often that you make a conscious practice of, okay, I'm going to soften into this moment. I feel I'm distracted, or I feel like I'm hardened, from my day or from different environments. But then you make a practice of it, and it gets easier because you start to create. It's almost like you're walking the same path, and the more you walk it, you're creating like a groove, so you can slide in or slip in. I'm not saying it's effortless. The second or third time in, and each time will be different. But it does get easier when you make it a practice.
Yeah, well, yesterday, that's what happened. Yesterday was our transition day. I dropped her off at school. I packed up all my stuff and shoved it in the car, and then I drove up to his house, and then we picked up and we drive to the city. All this execution, and I was the driver, and so I'm all masculine. But after that session with you, honey, I was so soft and everything, and we were having such a lovely time. And I looked at him and I go, hey, honey, guess what? I feel like I already dropped into being with you. It's not like it takes us 2 or 3 days for me to soften this time. And we looked at each other and we're like, yeah, wow, look at that. How fun, And so all it took was an hour and a half of just sitting and breathing and getting connected with ourselves and with each other and feeling the love and trusting that all is well once we get that part connected. It only takes an hour and a half. Usually it takes 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Trying to juggle everything else. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I thought the show is such an important conversation for couples out there is that, we're so pressured to have sex, to have great sex, to accomplish, to please each other, to buy each other gifts, to prove that our love is worthy and meaningful on Valentine's Day. And it starts here, doesn't it? It just starts with this sense of connection, this sense of being with each other, remove all of our head talk and all the noise in our head and just be with each other. And then the rest will take care of itself.
Definitely. I think it's almost it's such a common experience, and I think it's like we have this idea, you see magazines that say, better sex or more or bigger, we have this kind of idea like supersize it, and it becomes almost like a bit of an obsession, but also a bit of a sickness because we always feel like there's this like bigger, better sex you could be having, and it's like a pressure, when really if we just drop into the moment and drop into, intimacy, which, like yesterday you guys just looking into each other's eyes for 2 or 3 minutes, it's like a quality. You can't measure it. You can't measure the experience or how gratifying it is for you or how intimate you feel, but it's a quality, and the quality, I could feel a change in the room and between you just from 2 or 3 minutes of looking into each other's eyes and breathing. And, so it's just like, instead of thinking about more orgasms or bigger orgasms or better sex, all that follows once we allow ourselves to just be in the moment and just slow it down.
Yeah, and that's it. And that just took care of everything. So as our Valentine's wish for you all you listeners out there, is to take a moment and breathe with each other. Take a moment and drop all your computers and your little devices, put it aside, and just get in touch with yourself. It's actually a very simple practice. All you have to do is close your eyes, breathe deeply, right?
Yeah, definitely. Give them
a little walkthrough as they breathe so that they can get started.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the difficulty is just asking your partner to do it. There's this fear or this feeling like, hey, do you want to breathe with me or do you want to look into my eyes? If you've never done that before, it can feel kind of scary or weird or woo-woo. So a lot of it's just the courage at the beginning to invite your partner to do it with you. And, you could say to your partner, well, I heard about this on the radio. It sounds kind of cool. Do you want to try it? And you can set the timer for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. And then you just look at each other, and it's not a staring contest. So you're allowed to blink, and whatever comes up. A bunch of different things might come up, and it's really about drinking in your partner and just being in the moment and letting your eyes rest on each other. And the breath itself is just an effortless breath, however you're breathing. I recommend people try to learn how to breathe through the nose. It's a healthier way to breathe. And then to breathe all the way down into the belly, so the breath is really deep and you're using your full lung capacity, and that will help you to sink more deeply into relaxation and into your body and into the moment. But just sort of a deep breathing that's not too forceful or strenuous, and just gazing at your partner. And it's not staring, it's gazing. So it's like you're looking the way you would look at a lake. You're not trying to stare them down.
And it's okay if they giggle and laugh and all that stuff too,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's really, I think I said this at the workshop yesterday, there's really no right or wrong. There's no wrong experience. If you find yourself suddenly laughing or suddenly crying or having a memory that seems like it's coming from nowhere, or you're overwhelmed or you're deeply in love or whatever comes, it's perfect. It's just perfect. It's just another opportunity to learn more about yourself and to love yourself and accept whatever comes. So for sure, laughter is welcome.
I I think there's one way that you could do it wrong, which is you could quit. You can stop. You can not trust this and then just quit halfway. I think that, don't you think that gets in their way of connecting? Like if they could trust this a little bit and trust each other and just sit through the discomfort for a tiny bit and they'll come out to the other side, don't you think, maybe?
I think that's really good advice. Yeah, I mean, everyone has to decide for themselves if the discomfort is something that can be managed, if they can sit through it, and even though it's a little awkward or a little uncomfortable, I invite people to challenge themselves to stay connected, even if it's feeling uncomfortable or weird, or when's that timer going to go off? It's feeling like a long time. See if you can stay with it. Don't give up. But sometimes you have to honor yourself. If you're like, I need to stop, it's just overwhelming, like I'm feeling panic or I'm feeling, everyone's going to have a different response. I mean, it's not like panic is a common response to eye gazing, but, you just want to honor whatever comes up and take care of yourself. But generally, the invitation is to sit through a mild or a moderate amount of discomfort because that's where we would be growing.
That's lovely. Well, if they want to find you, honey, where should they go?
It's deedusault.com.
So it's D-E-E, and Dusault is D-U-S-S-A-U-L-T.
Yep, that's right.
DUSSAULT.com.
It might be actually better for people to email me. I'm not sure. Yeah, it'll be better for people to email me or find me on Facebook.
What's your email?
My email is d@deedusault.com.
Oh, sorry, the sound doesn't sound good. So it's D at something?
D, my name, D-E-E,
at
deedusault.com.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, I have
deedusault.com.
Yes. And on Facebook, it's Exquisite Bliss. So I'm calling all of these different modalities that I offer and help people Exquisite Bliss. So they can find that on Facebook. My website I'm not very techy, so my website's not always up to date. So Facebook or email is probably a better way to stay abreast of the most current info.
Perfect. All righty then. And Dee is in San Francisco, so if you are local, go to Dee. Tell her that you heard about this radio show and you want to try it out, and you want to try the cannabis yoga, or you want to try, doing a couple yoga to deepen your connection with your partner. All is so wonderful and deliciously waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Dee. Thank you so much for that session yesterday and for giving us new tools to play with each other. And so easy. Thank you for translating this complex, scary, woo-woo, tantric world into a very practical experience for us. I just love that about how you do what you do.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for the positive words, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Maybe another session. We'll see.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Do you want more sex, lies, and consciousness? Access our archives at sexliesandconsciousness.com. While you're there, please leave your comments or suggestions for the show and participate in current SLC conversations with other listeners worldwide.